Oh. I'm hoping you all could hear that. Was that okay for you, Todd? Could you hear that?
No, I don't think so. And Brian has kindly asked if there's meant to be sound, but...
Yeah, sorry about that. I could hear it, so I wonder why that didn't happen. I do apologise. We might play it for the end for those that are interested. It had some really fun upbeat music as well for us, didn't it? So, look, welcome everyone. Thank you for your patience with that. I do apologise the sound wasn't working. It's always a glitch, isn't it, with technology? And particularly without my face on at the moment as well. We might turn my face on as well, so it's not just a audio today. So welcome to our webinar. And welcome, we have Todd with us today, Christy and Chanel. So thank you guys for joining us. And I think what I might start with, Todd, is there's been a lot of webinars this month for accountants, hasn't there?
It seems to be a great time for accountants to watch webinars. And I'm not sure, I think probably the lull before the storm, perhaps, you know, of that taxation time, certainly for PAYG people. And I do know a few of accountants that we deal with have actually taken some time off during this time. So
my accountant had some holidays and now he's back. So
yeah,
so
back into it, look, that's for sure.
Yeah, and I've joined some of the webinars that have been on this month, and they've all been really interesting. But what I like about what we're going to talk today, or you're going to talk today, is you sort of package all of this up into sort of one sort of really nice business solution for accounting practices. And so I'll let you talk more about that, but it's sort of, if you've been watching other webinars this month, this might bring it all together for you as well. So thank you, Todd. Do you want to just give your 30-second elevator pitch of who you are, what you do, just as an introduction?
Yeah, so Xenium was formed, it was brought together from a number of different businesses, mainly in the finance broking space. With the other directors and I have been working with accountants and other professional services firms in our respective businesses for some time. In the last 2 years, we've pulled together businesses out of Melbourne, Sydney and Brisbane and the Sunshine Coast in Queensland. And we're now providing a total solution for accounting practices in particular, where we deliver on marketing for accounting practices to their existing clients and new lead generation, as well as the delivery of services to their clients like finance, property, financial planning, estate planning, etc. We package that up as you say, as one solution for practices, and then also aligned ourselves with a number of partners that help accounting practices become more productive and efficient as well. And what we found in the marketplace was that there's a number of single solution providers, obviously with their own agenda in terms of their own products and their great products and services, but you know, someone would sell you software to improve your efficiency, but then what were you going to do with that efficiency? Well, the time that it created or the capacity. Or someone would sell you, you know, some document creation software and you'd have a whole lot of documents in there like SMSF trust deeds or estate planning, etc. But, you know, how were you going to do that? Did you have the time? And then did you have the resources or the people around you that could help you actually deliver on the service? Accountants have been told for quite some time that they are the trusted advisor in someone's business and personal financial life, but no one actually sits down with you and says, here's how you do it, here are the services, and then guess what? We can deliver the services for you on your behalf. And that's what we do. And
you think that's probably what holds a lot of accountants back for growing and expanding their business in different service areas, because would they put it in a too hard basket? Or, I can't get around to it.
Well, sometimes it's just, you know, a lot of it's not enough time. You know, existing processes which need to be updated to create that space, as I call it, you know, that grace or that time, and the capacity. I mean, there's staff shortages everywhere. We understand that, and so
there certainly are. Yeah,
that's one of the reasons that we put this together.
Okay, so I think you've probably described your why. So it's out of a need, really, isn't it? And probably a lot of research that you've done of what clients actually want from their accountant. I know we've had lots of discussions about what I would like as a business owner from my accountant. And when we started talking, what you've got to offer is exactly the sort of things I've been wanting from my accountant as well. So so our agenda today is pretty much, you know, what do clients want? Are the accountants listening? Are you telling them you want them to listen to you and have those services? And are you providing the solutions they're asking for? So maybe just go a little bit into the why now, Todd.
Yeah, so when we sat down and thought about what are we doing and why are we doing it? You know, are we just providing finance and property, etc., and what's the point of that? And it just comes down to one thing, and a central theme for us, and that's what we call our why. And that is that all of our years of experience, and you can tell by my lack of hair that I've had plenty of years of experience, and in dealing with people, you know, who have accountants and financial planners, etc., who are business owners, who are just trying to find their way, really, find a pathway through their financial life. And they get bombarded with different messages and they really don't know which way to turn. And a lot of our frustration has been seeing people who have just been put on the wrong pathway by the wrong information and wrong advice. And we can go through lots of stories, and I'm sure accountants have heard plenty of them. But
I'm sure they've fixed plenty of them too.
Yeah, that's right. And but our why, or our belief, is that, you know, everybody has the right to the information and the education and the guidance to make their best decision for the whole of their financial life. And not just them, but the next generation as well, because what they do today impacts on, you know, their children and their children's wealth, etc. And as if you happen to have kids, then, you know, you always want the best for them and you want to build something to leave for them. And
yes,
and that
absolutely.
means making right decisions now. You know, and
that's part of asset planning, is an asset protection. And I was doing some consulting work last year with a financial planning group, and estate planning group, and of financial planning. But with the estate planning, what we were finding that if you introduced estate planning into your business, and a lot of you looking after, you know, the mums and dads and the business owners, that your 18-year-old, as soon as they turn 18, they should have an estate plan and a will put in place as well, because you just never know what's going to happen. And you're actually introducing the younger generation, you know, 20 years earlier than you possibly would be. They're not going to be a lot of work, obviously, until they either, you know, get employed, earn lots of money, buy lots of property, or go into business. So it's an opportunity to meet the younger generation at a much earlier progress to help you with your succession plan of your business and building that as well.
Yeah, exactly. And so a few things just in relation to what do clients want. Well, I've got plenty of anecdotal evidence, and that is people who've, you know, said, well, I'm leaving my accountant because they're not doing this. And one I can think of off the top of my head is a client who has a self-managed super fund. She specifically went to an accountant who said that they specialized in self-managed super funds. Now, it's not that they didn't, and it's not that they didn't have the knowledge, but they never spoke to her. They never sent her any communication. They never called her unless she called them. And she felt like, well, I'm just kind of a number, you know, they see me at audit or tax time or what have you. And what she wanted was some real information from their accountants, her accountant. And I guess what that does is it builds credibility, and it builds also a communication pathway where the client says, well, they are talking to me and they are telling me about things that I want to hear. And and as a result, I've now got the confidence to call them and say, hey, you sent me this information. I'd like to know about that. Can you tell me some more? And that's been borne out by a number of surveys. And I know this one looks a little old, but it's still relevant. Certainly COVID sort of skewed the results of a number of surveys because everyone was focused on cash flow and their business just operating, let alone, you know, thinking about extra services. But on the whole, what do clients want? Well, they want their accountant to talk to them about financial planning. And I know that a number of accountants have got financial planners and relationships, etc. But financial planning covers a whole range of things, including, as you were saying before, estate planning, and then, you know, self-managed super advice, and then mortgages and consumer credit. Now, some people will say, well, I don't need my accountant to do that. But when it's offered, they absolutely take it. And the reason is that they trust accountants' opinions. You know, if an accountant
and how easy would it be too? Because I've just finished my tax return, for example, and I've got four properties with loans on it. How easy would it be for him to say, "Oh, look, Deena, you're paying a lot of interest here. I know we're, you know, getting as much deductions as we can, but when was the last time you had a loan review? And for him to just look after it for me, not necessarily do it, but take control and say, I'm going to get your review. And that happens every, you know, maybe 2 or 3 years or however often you need to do that.
Well, that's right. And I don't think, and it doesn't have to be that an accountant sits there and says that they know that they're paying a lot of interest or that they've got a higher interest rate than they could get. It's simply a case of, why don't we review this in the same way that you review your life insurance, you should be reviewing your health and your property insurance every year. And there's some statistics that came out just last week that said something like 67% of people who have a home loan more than 3 years old,
yes,
or they haven't reviewed it in 3 years, are paying much more on their rate than they need to be, simply because they're not looking at it.
Yeah, I read the same survey. So very interesting, wasn't it? Because I would have thought with the last 2 years there being so much promotion about interest rates being so low that everyone should have refinanced and fixed as low as they can, but it's not the case.
No, it's not. They're busy.
Excellent. Okay, so we've got some importance of the professional services. So the accountants fit pretty high up there in levels of trust, don't they?
Well, number one, aren't they? And so, and the thing is that, and you're probably sick of hearing me say this, but we just have this view that accountants are the last bastion of trust in financial services. And the reason we form that view is that, you know, only a couple of years ago, banks took a big hit during the Royal Commission. Not that they weren't taking it anyway, but it was in public view. And the financial planning industry has gone through turmoil.
Oh, terrible, yeah.
You know, they've lost half of their participants, down from something like 33,000 to 16,000. And you know, there's also the barrier of cost with financial planning. So
absolutely.
So it's challenging to say, well, yes, I'd like my financial planner to give me the advice. And so you've got bankers and financial planners on the outer a bit, and then you've got brokers. So like myself, a finance broker of 20, 30 years, and I said 20, but it's actually 30. But, and you know, whilst we think our clients are loyal to us, etc., and that's great, not necessarily, you know, because
but we are loyal to our accountant, aren't we? If they're good, and not necessarily even if they're good. It's just we were talking to someone last week, and they said, "Why, you know, have you got a good accountant?" I said, "Not really." And I said, "Why haven't you moved?" I said, "Oh, it's too hard." So but that movement's becoming easier and is easier, and certainly technology helps that. So absolutely, yeah.
So you know, the thing about having a position of trust is that's great. You've got to hold on to it, and you've got to not only take that trust and then build relationships out of it.
And they're really the central, the core to everything, aren't they? So I met my accountant through my financial planner, and then, you know, we don't do anything without talking to our accountant, whether it is about self-managed super fund, or if we are going to buy another property, do we buy it here? How's it structured?
Sure.
Do we?
And more clients would like to do that. They would like to, if you just let them know that they can.
But it's very reactive, isn't it? So, well, from my experience, it's very reactive as opposed to proactive.
It can be.
Yeah. So, so you're talking about having a system that you can be more proactive with your clients in the areas, I guess, financial planning, SMSF, lending, business advisory.
Yeah, and I guess what we want to show people is that, you know, it might seem like these subjects are old hat in terms of, well, I've heard all this before, right?
Yeah.
We know because we've been in the industry and we hear it every day. Again, I get that. But the same things that your clients want are the same things that your practice will make revenue from. And I think if you pull up the next column, then we'll see that, you know, in terms of revenue, you know, here are some areas where you can expand and diversify your revenue. And diversification is going to be important, not just from a revenue stream point of view, but also, and looking after your clients, but also from an exit perspective. So if you've got an accounting practice and you think that, well, I'm going to build this and sell it, that's great. But, you know, who's going to buy it? And when they buy it, wouldn't they want to pay more if you have multiple streams of income?
Yeah, absolutely.
But also, just to give you some really, really old numbers, you know, a long time ago, I used to work for a bank, and at the time, you know, their target, if you like, was to increase the number of products and services to clients to 3 on average, 3 products and services. And what they knew was that if people had at least 3 services with you, that instead of leaving when they were unhappy, they would talk to you.
Yes.
They would come back and say, hey, I've got a problem with this, because it's a bit like coming back to your statement before, oh, it's too hard, right?
Yes.
Okay, well then if someone's unhappy, you need to talk to them about why they're unhappy and try and fix that. But you won't get that opportunity if you're just doing their tax.
Exactly.
Because they can take that tomorrow.
Yeah, so that rule of 3 is very serious, because in the world of marketing and business, I guess, is that, I think it's when you sell the second product to someone or offer the second product service, the loyalty increases by 69%. The third one's something like in 84%, and then the fourth one's right up there in the 90s as well.
Yeah, because now I'm coming to you. So you're doing my tax, you know everything about me. Now you're doing my financial planning, and let's just say you do financial planning and estate planning from a business perspective, and from a revenue point of view, accountants introducing estate planning. Obviously, there's fees to be charged if you've got a system in place. The estate planning discussion starts in terms of, well, what are you going to do with your assets, and where are your liabilities? I mean, it's a full plan of every part of their life, and that's the beginning. Even though it's the end, it's the beginning discussion.
That's
about okay, what do you have at the moment? What liabilities and assets? What's your plan? Where are we going to put this? Are you going to buy anything else? Are you going to invest elsewhere? And then why don't we get you reviewed? What is the plan here? Why don't we have a look at these loans for you? Why don't we have a look at whether we create an SMSF, if that's part of the plan? So it opens the discussion, right? And so, and one of the things that we do say is, clients are going to do this with or without you.
Exactly.
So they will just turn up one day and say, oh, by the way, this year in our tax we bought an investment property.
I've done that before.
And we accidentally put it in the wrong name. Right. And we know we should have come to you, but look, I just didn't feel like I could talk to you, or I could call you, or it was rushed. Well, why was it rushed? Well, because I talked to a mate of mine and he said it was a good deal.
That's right.
So, the conversation started in the wrong place, because if they had had that conversation with their accountant, it would have been planned.
Or if you felt like you could make that quick phone call and get onto them, or have someone there you could talk to quickly.
Yes, because they might have thought, oh, well, they should probably tell me about the tax implications. But, for many people, they'll come to you and say, oh, tell me, is this townhouse good? Well, I don't know, but we can tell you about the tax implications, right? And so, and that's if they plan it that way. But for many, and we see this all the time in the loans, the lending industry. For many, they'll go on holiday. They'll come to the Gold Coast and buy a unit.
Oh yes. My sister did that. Yeah, she went up to North Queensland. I won't tell you the suburb, and then the financier she used got her to put a deposit down on an investment property when she had all this equity in her home, and did a P&I loan.
Investment loan, right.
Investment loan in an area that was never going to go. She's had it for like 12 years and she's just sold it, and she might break even if she's lucky.
Right. So and look, we're not expecting accountants to be property advisors. And in fact, that's one of our services, is property investment advice. But, had she spoken to an accountant at the time, or her accountant, maybe there was some more thought into that process, and specifically around structuring. So look, the things that clients want are the things that accountants can provide, and the accountants can, as an accountant, you can make, increase your fees and diversify your fees around that. Okay.
Yeah. So are you telling them that you are listening to them? So I've had a few accountants, and the only reason I've moved is because I've been introduced by someone else, I guess, and they said, oh, this accountant's good and they're a specialist in this. But I remember many years ago, one of my first accountants, when I had a couple of investment properties that I was renting, and because I moved states a lot, and he said to me, Deena, why you got all these investment properties instead of, buying your home and that sort of thing. So that was sort of an alarm bell to me that I needed, to find someone else, or have, a team around me of people that I could talk to and say, well, is that right? Or because I was uneducated.
Well, and you're not the only one. And the thing is that people who are investing or trying to build wealth will take their advice from wherever they have trust and believe there's credibility. And that might be a podcast.
Yes.
Right.
There used to be seminars. Yeah. Back in many years ago.
About those seminars, right? And And so that's the risk, because the risk is they come back to their accountant and they tell them they've done something and it's in the wrong structure, set up incorrectly, and it's probably not a great buy.
So how do they?
But they don't know that. Sorry,
Yes,
but they don't necessarily think I should call my accountant about this, but they should. But
Yes.
and so one of a couple of messages that we want to provide is that are you listening to them to begin with, and then how do they know that you are listening, right? Because if you only see them once a year, this is the danger. If you only see them once a year, there's a whole 11 months and 30 days, 29 days for them to do something else without talking to you. And so you've got to send regular communication about their life events. Now, I'm sorry to the accountants on the webinar, but if you're sending me things about fringe benefits tax, I'm not interested, because I want you to know that. But if you're sending me information about things that happen or going to happen in my life, like buying houses and cars and businesses and planning my estate, and should I have an SMSF because it's everywhere and I don't know if I should, and do I need a financial planner, or what's my insurance like? It's not necessarily about cut through in terms of, my experience has been when we market with accountants and for accountants, is it's not necessarily that you're looking for clicks on an article necessarily. It's nice, it's good to see that, but it's more about regular education so that they remember.
So they will call at the right time when there's something that's triggered them to say that resonates with me.
Yep, we did a car loan not so long ago for a client of an accounting firm, and they had received information about asset finance and motor vehicle finance, and they actually replied back to the email, which was sent months ago, on that email, right? And so they'd obviously taken notice of it.
Yes.
And now they wanted to buy a car, and they were like, "Oh, I'm pretty sure my accountant does that." And they came back to them and said, "Hey, are you still doing this? Can we arrange this finance through you?" Right? And now, of course, they're getting the right structure for their finance, and then the accountant is reviewing it for them, rather than them ending up at a dealership and getting sold into a 1%, what looks like a great rate and is actually rubbish kind of deal.
Yeah.
Right? So it's regular education, sending out that information, telling them, having a look at what is in their financial life, their trigger points, like, are they getting married? Are they thinking about buying a house? Are they, an interesting statistic in terms of people buying a house.
Yeah,
over 60%. Yeah, over 60% get a car within the next 6 months of buying a new house. And there's lots of reasons for that. And that's actually been borne out by one of our partners is Mortgage Choice. We look after all of the commercial and business finance for Mortgage Choice as a national network. And Mortgage Choice actually put a call center in to check and see if that was true in their own database, right? Because there was a survey, well, is it true? And yes, it is true. In fact, their numbers were something like 40-something% of their actual clients that they had financed a new house for. So it wasn't quite the 60, but that doesn't mean it,
it happens. Yeah,
it absolutely does happen. And so there are these events. I bought a house, now I want a car. Okay, help them with both, right? But let them know you can help them by communicating this through we'll call it marketing, but it's really communication, right?
Then I need a bigger car because I've had too many kids, and then goes on from there.
Yeah, and then what's happening? Well, mum's going into aged care. Well, are you able to look after that, an aged care transition for them? I know there's lots of services, but it's about putting together a team, having the team around you, whether you do that with, people or that you're introduced to, or you've already got a couple of people that you're referring to, etc., and you need to add to them. But we're not saying an accountant needs to be everything for everybody. What we're saying is you are the project manager, you are the trusted advisor, as they say. You are the project manager. You bring the people together to look after your clients.
Because imagine as sitting in the shoes of an accountant, I'd think, look, I'm already busy. How do I do all this myself? You're saying you don't have to.
Impossible. It's impossible. I've seen plenty of accountants who, have gone and become a mortgage broker and a financial planner. And honestly, just keeping up with the compliance of that would be just ridiculous, let alone your accounting compliance. So, but it's about project managing and making sure that you can look after the client's needs, right? And it doesn't all have to be done at once, and we'll get to that later, but it's about offering that help.
Yeah. So I guess at the end of the day, it's looking at definitely deeper engagement with your clients. You're saying there's increased revenue opportunities as well. So you may as well get a clip along the way, not only that you can charge more because you've got a bigger, broader client now. They might be doing a whole range of things of new services you can charge for. So increased revenue to the practice there. Data-driven opportunities, which we're coming to soon as well. And like I said, higher level of referral business clients for life. So it's the data-driven opportunities I hear more about, because I think we all hear about data's the big key, and it's sort of banded around there. But what I'm really keen to have a chat about is how do you use the data to drive these opportunities for accountants, and that's what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, so I mean, and we'll get to that. And just to recap on this information here, as we said, there's deeper engagement with clients, and whether you want to take that as a hey, if they've got 3 services, they won't leave, or whether you're just looking at it from a basis of actually I would like to look after my people. That would be nice, right? And look after all of it. Increase revenue through things like estate planning, asset protection, SMSF, and don't dismiss the opportunity to encompass that in one proposal that says, hey, I'm going to charge you X dollars per year, right? It's going to cost you $10,000 to engage with me. Why? Because we're going to do an estate planning review. We're going to review that actually every year. We're going to look after your insurance. We're going to look after your loans. We're going to look after every purchase and structure that would do, that you're looking at doing. We're going to make sure that the whole of your financial life is taken care of. And for that fee, inclusive of your tax, it's $10,000 a year, or whatever the number is that you can, and then if you've got some smart technology, then you can spread that cash flow out if you want, and they can pay monthly for their services, right? So they don't get a $10,000 bill. And we can talk about that in a few moments. But I don't mind paying, my own accountant has a rule in place that if it takes them less than 45 minutes to do the job for me, they don't charge me. It's included in the whole of their service, right?
Wow.
Now, I haven't got a clue what takes them 45 minutes. I have a general idea, but you know what? It means I can call them anytime.
Yeah. See, I'm scared to call mine because I know I'm on the clock as soon as. So it's not even. I'm too scared to have a chit chat. Like, oh, how are you going? How's your holiday? Because it's but
also the fear is on the other side, and that is that if I call my accountant, and from an accountant's point of view, it's like, well, it was only a 10-minute conversation. I just helped them out, so I'm not going to charge them. So you're actually, from an accountant's point of view, you're decreasing your revenue, because you're giving away your expertise for nothing, because they can call you anytime, and you felt like you shouldn't be able to charge them. But if you provided them a whole of financial life solution,
and you're generating other income. So you'll find this interesting, because I've never a friend of mine is actually he's got a massive accounting practice, and he only charges $2,000 a year to his clients. And I thought, oh, how on earth do you make any money at all? But he's tapped into everything you're talking about. He's got all these things in place, so he only needs to charge $2,000 to his clients, and because he's generating revenue off so many other areas of him, so his overall would be at least 10 grand or more. But he's able to offer that service. He did say it's been several years he's been thinking of putting the fee up, which I thought was crazy, but that he needs to. But he's getting revenue and cash flow from so many other services that it's not about the accounting fee for him. It's about that holistic service like you're talking about, and he's comfortable with that.
Yeah, and the thing about fees and charging is that, and I've had people say to me, well, I had a friend of mine not so long ago saying, well, how much do you pay your accountant? And and I asked why, and he was complaining about his fees, and honestly his fees are about half of what we pay. And I said, well, actually, that's not too bad, but what do you want? Do you want actually a good service? Because that costs money.
It does,
It costs money to provide. It's time, it's effort, and it's also having the capacity and resources to give you that. So if you want great service, then you're going to have to pay for it. And I believe that people will pay for it, as long as you're not operating at the sort of, the bottom of the ladder, if you like, and competing for, one-off $100 transactions.
Yeah, absolutely.
And also adding value. So sorry, we'll keep going.
No, that's right. So let's talk about the technology. So how do we implement all this?
So this is more about the practice, and that is, okay, you've decided, you might say to yourself, well, okay, I do want to do this. Well, how am I going to do it? Well, the first thing is, we think, is to set the vision for your practice, and that is, who are you? And what I mean by that is, you can have a look at, and this is not confined to the accounting industry, but you can have a look at 10 different websites from accountants or professional services, and you can't tell the difference. Like, why should I go there? Well, we do accounting and tax and compliance. Okay, so there's that guy, but we're really good at it. Yeah, but so is that guy, right? So I'm not saying do away with your current business model, but maybe have a think about, who are you as a business? Where do you want to go, and who do you want to serve? So a number of people that we deal with have decided that, yes, they do always do the normal tax and compliance and attract those clients, etc., in the door. But from a marketing point of view, or from a direction perspective, they decide, we're going to service a particular industry. And I know that some of the guys on the webinar today have done this. Their website is set up for, particularly because I have looked at who's on, and I have looked at their websites, and some of them have decided on a particular pathway, and that they're servicing particular clients. And what that means is that you can narrow your focus on a lot of things. Certainly one of the accountants that we know focuses on tradies. Now, that means that they only have to think about certain structures and certain ways of selling to those people. Often tradies will be sole operators to begin with. They'll have their house in their own name, and the business is not in a company. And, and so there's asset protection there, and there's all sorts of revenue opportunities for the accountant. But also, from a marketing point of view, it means that, okay, well, who am I going to network with? Well, guess what? I'm going to go network with the housing association, or the builders union, or whatever. So I don't have to. I haven't got a scattered marketing program hoping to just pull anyone in. These are the people. And by the way, when that client who says, well, I'm a builder, or I'm an electrician, looks for an accountant, they might just tap into Google. And I'm not saying that you should jump onto Google ads, but what happens is, if you have a lot of information about a particular sector on your website, in your marketing, and etc., LinkedIn, that will come up.
Yeah.
Like, we look after builders. If that's it, right? That's all we do. We look after builders. Now, if you do that, what you do know as well is that in the second half of the year for builders, they're always cash flow short, because they shut down over Christmas and they're waiting for progress payments. And that means that you know that that's going to happen, and you can start talking to them at tax time about, what are you going to do with your working capital, and how can we help you with business finance to get you through this hump of the year that always happens in December and January. Now you don't have to think about the fact that I've got 16,000 different industries to think about, right? It's just the one sector or the two sectors. So it's a niche offering.
So then you can streamline your processes and systems, and train your team and all that sort of stuff too. So
well, that's right. Because
because
then when you're thinking about staffing, you're thinking about, okay, well, who are the people that we need to look after these clients, these types of clients? What sort of experience have they had? Have they dealt with that before? They come from that industry? Maybe you're employing a bookkeeper, for example, in your business, and guess what? They used to be a bookkeeper for a builder. And so they understand the inputs and outputs, if you like, better than someone else. So it just sets the whole vision, if you like, for where you're going. And then it's about capacity and resource planning. And one of our partners is David Smith from Smith Inc. And Smith Inc.'s got a great consultancy business and coaching business for accounting practices. And one of the things that they do is sit down with you and work out, how much capacity do you have? Where are you running at? What's your plan for the next couple of years? I'm not talking about next week. I'm saying, okay, for the next 2 years, what's our direction? What do we think our target's going to be? And then what will we need for that? And how will we plan for it?
And then it doesn't happen overnight, does it? Because we all would like our business to change instantly like that. We all like our technology and everything to be automated like that. But there does take a little bit of planning and like you said, resource planning. And if I'm going to be doing extra work here, well, I need people to help deliver it by this date.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking to an accountant after one of our webinars a month ago. He's just taken 2 years to digitize his business. So he's now paperless. Now, some people are well ahead of that, right? Well ahead. But it just so happened that that's the way it was. And so it's not an overnight fix, but you have to have the plan and then put in the resourcing and then, deliver on that, so that over that couple of years, you create that capacity within your business. And one of the things is, efficiencies, as we say, using software. A couple of software providers that we're partnered with and we recommend, I think you're going to bring them up on the screen, but Lightyear Docs is one of them, and Ignition. It used to be Practice Ignition. So Lightyear Docs is a firm where you subscribe, you get access to, the creation of company documentation. There's some, there's just like hundreds of legal documents, and the guys who own it, pretty well known in the industry. Grant Abbott, he's used to run Infinity or Infinity Now, and he's got a legal background. A law firm is attached to it, so all of the documents are correct, and the creation of those happens so quickly. It's amazing, So we recommend. Obviously, you can use your own. We've got these partnerships in place, and we're happy to introduce accountants to them. And the other one is Ignition. For those of you who have heard of them before, used to be Practice Ignition, and that's about automating your engagement proposals. We've used Practice Ignition. We think it's great. It's okay. And when I talked about offering that whole of financial life service that someone will pay for, this is the kind of proposal that you would put together. And once you've got the template, sending it out to a client's, really easy, putting in their details. And not only does it automate the engagement proposal, but it collects the money for you as well on a monthly or annual basis.
Yes, I was impressed when I heard that as well. Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's the kind of technology which can create capacity in your business and improve revenue at the same time. So we're certainly happy to be partnered with those guys, and we try and keep it to a minimum in terms of introducing new things to a business, to an accounting practice, but we try and choose the best of the industry that we can partner with.
So you handpicked the people that you found. So I like this option too, because you've got a finance broking solution and a direct-to-bank lending. That's quite unique, isn't it?
Yeah, so no one in Australia can offer both. Now, we can offer both because we have a joint venture with the largest direct-to-bank aggregator. So just to sort of cover off on finance broking, our background is business and commercial broking. In fact, we started with our specialty was funding business acquisition through cash flow funding. So that's where we came from, a banking background originally 20, 30 years ago. I keep saying 20 or 30. It's actually 30 years ago. So a banking background, and then moved into commercial and business finance broking. Now, many accountants will have knocks on the door from a broker saying, hey, let's send business to each other, or they go to something like BNI and they have to refer, etc. And that's really great. But often you'll find that, there's a home loan guy, and then there's a lady that handles asset finance, and then someone saying they can do commercial. And what I'm saying is that we can do all of it. Okay? And that's what we
and I've been in the finance industry for 20 years as well, and it's very rare to find an organisation that can manage all of that.
And manage it across Australia. So it's not just like this broker, I look after him. The other thing is that often it's a one-way street in terms of referrals. So for accountants, they're referring clients, but they're not getting actual clients back, right? Because of course the broker went and knocked on 20 doors. And who are they going to give? And we're in a similar situation. We're not going to just although if anyone is in the Central Coast of New South Wales, I have a client who's looking for an accountant right now. As of yesterday, they're looking for an accountant. They're a small business plus partner is PAYG. Anyway, if anyone puts their hand up,
there you go. Put your hand up.
Then we do have someone to
put your details in the chat there.
Now, that doesn't happen often necessarily, because it's not always the case that we come across that, because we get a lot of our business through referral. If one of your clients, if you're one of our clients and one of your clients put their hand up, we would be sending them back to you and having a conversation about, why is this the case, and helping you fix it, right? What was I saying? About the referrals. So part of our solution later on is that we do, there is a choice there where we do pay for referrals, and what that does is says, well, okay, please don't expect us to send you 10 new clients every month, but in place of it is the payment, but also the marketing and lead generation that we're going to tell you about in just a moment. So that will help you get new clients. Direct to bank lending is simply this. You have someone in your office, they want a home loan, and they're happy to go to Westpac, or they're happy to go to NAB. In fact, they've banked there for a while, etc. If they go there, you might not get paid, but under this arrangement, you will get paid. And
even if they're an existing client of NAB, or
even if they're an existing client, so you get paid
cool.
up, and you'll get paid up to 50% of the gross commissions on the loan. So it's a good option. It's one that complements our own. So 60 to 70% of people use finance brokers. That's another 30 or 40% who don't. Yes. And so the direct-to-bank lending option allows you to have another panel of up to 20 lenders, bank and non-bank. Yep. And local bankers in your area will contact you that you can be introduced to. So you can easily, you don't have to be talking about finance. It's just a name and a number.
Yep. Okay. Talk to these guys. Yep. Okay.
Yeah. So that's cool. That's the options with finance.
If you had a business though, I guess that business and they wanted residential and asset and commercial property and things like that, would it be your recommendation to go straight to the broking side, or does it not matter?
Well, always my recommendation for that, because it's a bit more complex, right? Yeah. And you might find that residential lenders it might be challenging for them. And also, part of our strategy with clients is that we don't necessarily want everything with the same bank. So we might do their home loan with a bank and their business loan with someone else, and their,
they can get a bit SMSF powerful loan if they own it all, can't they?
I don't really like having all of a client's assets with the one bank, certainly.
Yeah. So okay.
So the other options, I think we've got financial planning, we've got estate planning. So we have partnerships with financial planning and estate planning. We've got some great partners there that can look after you all over nationally. Trusted financial planners and estate planning solutions that you can implement yourself and charge fees for, but we give you the introduction to have the software and the documentation that leads you through that pathway and introduce it into your business. The other thing that we've created is specifically for self-managed super funds, which is we have separated from financial planning there. Often accountants will have clients who do want to set up an SMSF. Now, unless you have a license, then ideally you are not advising them to do that.
Yeah.
I know that there are ways around it. I know that there are accountants who are doing it. I know that they shouldn't be. So one solution that we've provided is what we call our online delivery. And what that means is that you fill out some fact-find information on our website, and that's passed through to our outsourced financial planning solution. And that person will call you and arrange an appointment, an interview with the client, and run through the full fact find with them and create a statement of advice for you on your behalf and sign off on it as a financial planner. And then you can deliver that to the client. And obviously you can charge a fee for that, for your time and effort as well, on top of the fee for service. We just found that it was one thing that, if a client didn't want full financial planning, it didn't mean that they didn't want a self-managed super fund. And they should have some advice around that. They shouldn't necessarily just be setting it up because I went to a property spruikers seminar and they told me I should buy it in my SMSF.
Take 500k out of your SMSF, super, and put in a property.
Yeah. So and also, as an accountant, it's challenging to keep, if you've got to be licensed as well as run your own business, it's challenging as well.
So they can do all this and they don't have to worry about the licensing and the compliance and all that.
No, because that's taken care of by our financial planning people.
Yeah, sounds good.
And the other thing we offer accountants is this communication platform, which is, regular communication to their existing clients. And we're about to show that. And then also lead generation to bring new business in.
Yeah. Because the only thing I get from my accountant is right after the tax returns are lodged and put in, I get an email for invest in audit insurance, which I decline every year. But to me, if that's the only thing you can hear from an accountant after, once a year, it's like, well, I know you're going to get paid a clip on your audit insurance.
The audit insurance guys have done a really good job.
That's right. Anyway, we won't go there. So tell us about the client communication.
So it's taken us quite some time. So we've been working on this for quite a few years and partnering with a number of people who, I don't know how many of you as accountants have tried to bring in marketing firms, but promises versus delivery is challenging in that space, particularly if they're talking about SEO and Google ads and et cetera. It always seems rosy at the start, right? And then when there's no results, it's like, well, it's really not our fault. You should have done something else, right? So, but here's the thing: if you can diversify your income and make more revenue from your existing clients, why would you need to get so many new clients? And often, from an accountant's point of view, we find that in the people that we speak to, they don't always want brand new clients. They've got enough.
That's right.
Right? They've got enough. But what if you could make more income from those clients? Well, this is about communication to those clients twice a month on topics that they're interested in, the same ones that we talked about before. And it's not just about finance or property. So it's things like estate planning and asset finance and self-managed super funds, those subjects that will directly impact your revenue as an accountant that you can charge fees for. So it's regular communication going out to them. I think we've got some examples of those, Deena.
We have. Did you want Christy to have any comments on the client communication at all?
Yeah, absolutely. Christy and Chanel are intimately involved in that. And so if Christy wants to run through a couple of things, that'd be great.
Yeah, thanks, Todd. Definitely what you said before, it's all about listening to your clients and understanding what their needs are. So what I found really good about the Xenium marketing communication is that we actually have really lovely content that actually is written in terms that your clients can understand, and it really gets them to think about what they're currently doing, that they haven't actually engaged with, and also what they might want to do in the future. So while the accountant's not got the ability to be in contact with them all the time, that regular monthly engagement just keeps them building that relationship and understanding more about what they're doing at the moment and what they might want to do in the future, and gives them the ability to get back in touch with the accountant and actually have those conversations. So the main thing is just building that relationship, whether it be with an existing client or with a new client as well.
Yeah, and I think what's really important is the content is relevant, engaging, and understandable from our point of view. So it's, we've seen quite in our own business, we've seen quite a few of our clients not just read the article, but go and download the tip sheets, etc., that are provided. I mean, one not so long ago was a property investment checklist. That's the kind of free education that people need and want, and it builds credibility.
Absolutely. And I mean, just the images alone, it's not boring. Like, you look at those images and you think, oh, I wonder what this article's about. And it's just really engaging and refreshing to have content that's written about things that are relevant to people's lives.
Well, and content that's not written by robots.
Yes.
So that makes a big difference. And also, I mean, when we first started in this business and we were trying to get articles written, some of it was coming back, and honestly, I had to look at it and say, hang on, this person doesn't know that we're in Australia. So they're talking about things that are relevant to the US.
Yeah, and I found that with content writers as well, very hard to find a good content writer.
Well, all you need to do is have a look at a few articles on news.com.au.
I know. When I read stuff on blogs and things like that, and there doesn't seem to be any structure. That's just like blur.
Yeah. So this is the kind of great content. And look, there's one there for accounting practices. So that's, if anyone wants that, put their hand up. We can send that topic sheet to you on how to finance your own accounting practice, how to buy another one using your fees. We'll just grab out some working capital. We'll, part of our, specialty, if you like, is professional services financing. So we thought it was relevant to write that sort of content.
Oh, well done. And so I think, Chanel, you're going to have a chat about, so one of the things that I think that we probably missed back here was use surveys to drive engagement with existing and new clients and reward them with an opportunity to win a holiday. So Chanel, why would accountants want to offer a holiday to their clients?
Well, I think the really good thing about offering them a holiday is just it's a nice incentive to say thanks for actually being a part of my finance community. You're offering them something back for that loyalty towards them. And it also gives the opportunity to engage with new and existing clients. So if you read a couple of these questions here, you're not only capturing details of new clients, but qualifying those people in or out of a really soft touch phone call relevant to them based on the mannerism in which they answer these questions, and also getting to know a little bit about new clients if you are utilizing this system for lead generation. So it works really well for that, and retention with existing clients if you're unaware of what they need at this point of time in their finance cycle. You can read these questions that they answer. Twice a year we run the competition, so you're consistently keeping up to date on where they're at.
So do the accountants have to pay for the competition?
No,
Well, they don't as part of this package, no.
Okay.
No.
Okay. So you run a couple of competitions a year, valued at how much?
$10,000 each.
10,000. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And so you can tap into that, and it qualifies some people in or out, and whether or not you're going to pick up the phone and have a chat to them or not.
Yeah, I think what's really important about this is that these questions can be tailored to the accountant's business.
Yes.
So we've got an accountant at the moment on this. They are focusing on estate planning. That's their lead, right?
Okay.
That's all they're interested in focusing on right now. And so every question needs to be about that in the survey. Not every question, but you know what I mean. That's
Those
the
targeted
focus. Like
questions.
2 or
based
3 of
on
the questions
business
will be,
focus.
have you got to do, and it doesn't have to be, this long. It might be, do you have a will, or have you reviewed it in the last 3 years? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Because that then identifies them. Have you thought about asset protection, etc. So I think as a lead generation, and this is not something necessarily that just sits there as a static kind of website. This is, you can link this to your social media. You can put it in LinkedIn. You can put it on Facebook. You put the banners up. Whenever you send an email out, whenever content goes out, someone can click on this and enter. You can add more entries into the competition if they do more work with you. So you could really offer it to say, well, okay, if you do this, then you get 2 entries into the competition. It's not the absolute reason they're going to do it, but it's
a thank you.
It's something else. Something else to talk about and to thank them for their business. So I think it's really great. Yeah.
Silent salesperson, by the sound of it. Now, we were talking about data opportunities before, so this is the really exciting bit for those people that are waiting for it.
For those people who are interested in data. Okay.
Oh, I love data. So how can I make more money out of my existing clients? And you tell me how to do that.
So for many, many years, people have been talking about CRMs, customer relationship management systems, right? And there's been so many iterations of that, and people don't use them properly. Right?
Correct.
And once upon a time when we first started, people were putting it into Microsoft Outlook, recording people's dates of birth and sending them birthday cards, and then they're interested in golf. Well, no one ever sent them a golf club, but they know they're interested in golf, so they might invite them. So we have an agreement with Xeppo. Xeppo is a CRM that's built for financial planning and accounting. And what Xeppo does, what's great about Xeppo, amongst other things, is that it connects with software partners like MyOb and Xero Practice Manager and Xero Tax, BGL and Class, SMSF administrators, and a range of others, but I've just put a few on there. So we have a wholesale package with them, which is part of our offering. What Xeppo does is connect to those packages and drags data down into its system so that you have one single view of your client, and that can tell you what fees are you charging them, what services do they have, what's their income. You can data match, so you make sure that you've got clean data across all of your systems. So you might have an address that's sitting with BGL that's incorrect in Xero and incorrect on your own database that you can data match. It will come up with those exceptions. But quite aside from that, the really exciting part for us is you can then start to query that information, and we can do it for you, in fact. And so the types of things might be, and I'll focus on loans because that's our background, is, okay, how many people that are 40 years and older who are currently paying, interest on an investment property or having a tax deduction for interest, right? So that we can query that information. We get a list, and then we can target those people to say, hey, can we review your loans? How many people, there's estate planning inside there. How many people have a current will that you've recorded, by the way? Over time, these conversations, you start to record this. What's also exciting is that Xeppo is developing a client app one of their shareholders is a large wealth platform, one of the largest ones in Australia, and they're developing a client app where the client can actually update their information live, so they can update their assets, their liabilities.
Oh wow, that's great.
And their
so that'll make it easier for tax returns, wouldn't it? Because it's all there.
Well, not just tax returns, because if I think about it from a financial advice and a lending point of view, right now a client will say, well, okay, they'll get referred to a financial planner, for example, and they need to complete a fact find of all of their information, right? Up-to-date information. And the financial planner says, okay, what are we going to do? Oh, well, we're going to do this, and we're going to buy something, and we need to borrow some money. Great. Why don't you go see this mortgage broker? Now the broker has to get the same information, same fact find. Can you fill out this form, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's
same
online
estate
or not.
plan. What assets have you got? Who are you leaving to?
Yeah. But here's the one place it can all be kept. And in fact, authorization can be given by the client to share that information with their advisor.
Wow. Okay, that's great.
Straight from the system.
Yeah.
Right? And then when they've developed the app and they can upload it live, then all of a sudden we've got connections that allow us to update valuations on houses and cars, etc.
Rents increase.
Live information on their super fund and cash balances, etc. From a financial planning point of view, it integrates with Xplan, it integrates with Midwinter.
I'm just thinking, if I uploaded all my details on there, tax time would not only save the client a lot more time, because I know how long it takes to put all our stuff together, although, we try and keep it on a big spreadsheet, but we're not the best at keeping up to date. But at tax time, that'd make it really easy, wouldn't it? It's one place. As a bill comes in, you put it in, and as interest rates change, you can update that, and as rent changes. I mean, I'm just looking at as an investor, of course.
As a
then in
as
the
a
business,
client,
I guess.
It's the one place. Now, there's other systems out there that try to do this. I know that if you're an accountant, you'll know about My Prosperity, etc. I mean, they're doing pretty well, but in terms of connecting properly to systems like Xero and MyOb, etc., and the SMSF situation, from a financing point of view, it's amazing in terms of the sort of data that you can have at your fingertips. And if I come back to the whole of financial life statement, then from an accountant's point of view, they get to see their client's position in the one place, right?
Yeah, fantastic.
And then as part of our package, we actually install and implement this with you, and we'll run it for you as well.
Okay.
So that we haven't got, you haven't got to have 3 extra staff to do this.
Well, it sounds expensive though, Todd.
Listen to you. You sound like you're selling steak knives.
Sounds expensive. I just look. Being in the IT and marketing, what I actually understand how expensive it is to do all this. So, anyway, so let's go back to what's included in the package, because obviously you're here to encourage people to work with you and try these things out.
Yeah, and we've been through lots of different versions of this, and had to build this in terms of, well, what really, we started with talking to accountants and giving them communication to send out to their clients, right? But that was hard because we provided on a Tuesday and they didn't have time to send it out till Friday night. And then so there was no response from it. What we're saying is we'll do it for you. We're not going to take over your firm. We'll work with you. You'll get to see everything before you say yes, but we can do this for you. And so part of that is lead generation through the surveys, marketing to the clients through the content. We'll provide and we'll deliver. We'll provide Xeppo, or what we call Xenium SEER. We'll provide finance solutions, direct to bank, and property investment advice. Now, what a lot of people don't have is access to a property advisor, right? It's not a regulated industry, and that's the challenge. So we've built one of our directors has been a buyer's agent for over 20 years. I mean, he was buying properties in the US and doing all sorts of things, renovating and building, and now they're doing their own developments, etc., with clients. But key to that was making sure that they had the right advice at the right time, but also the right strategy. So part of our solution with property investment is it's client-led. The client completes a really simple survey where they answer the type of strategy that they're after, the returns that they're after. It's a risk profiling for property, and it gives them an indication of where they should look to invest in property. And it's just an indication to start off with of the strategy. But what it does is it takes away the mismatching, because sometimes what you'll say is, well, what do you want to do? Well, I want a 30% return on my money. Okay, great. What do you want to invest in? Well, I want to buy a blue chip property. you know, 3 k's from the city, right? Well, you know, from a return point of view, that's probably a mismatch. Yeah. And I never want to lose my money. Okay, great. So it's about, but someone else might say, well, look, I'm prepared, you know, I'm young, I've got a fair bit of cash flow. Yep. I'm prepared to put 100 grand in here. I haven't got a, you know, I'll put it into something else where maybe I might build a duplex and sell it for profit, or I might build a duplex and keep it for rental income, but it depends on the strategy that you have. So we've built.
So it sounds like it's more than just like a buyer's advocate sort of thing. It's like you help like project management or guide them in making their own decisions based on good advice, though.
Yeah, so they determine which strategy they want in terms of returns and risk. They sign off on that. We then provide them with what we call a property investment plan. Okay, here's the strategy you've selected. Here's 4 options for you. Choose one. Then we'll go and deliver that. And that delivery might be, I want to buy a property. I want to build a property. I want to build something and sell it. Build it and keep it, right? So, and
is it the right time to buy? What state is it? Like, where's
that's right. So
all the states have their own cycles, don't they?
Sure. And we match. We have actually our own sort of property compass, which we match to the cycles. So when, you know, in about 2012, I think it was, and you'll know this in Sydney, you know, at one time, Sydney prices actually, there was a, you know, they were going down. And, you know, I remember our guys picked up some property, which was, you know, let's say these numbers are made up in terms of the dollar values, but because you'll probably laugh, because I think they picked up a property for 1.2 million, and they picked it up for 900,000, right? And so it was just the timing of the cycle. The rent was high, the cash flow was good. What the guys knew was that was actually worth 1.2, and it wasn't going to be too long until it recovered. But it was just the time of the cycle. And what did the clients want to do? They wanted cash flow now with growth later. So it's about building that whole strategy with them around the cycles. And I wanted to spend some time on it because often property advice, if you like, for want of a better way to put it, is sort of cobbled together, and all it really is developers spruiking townhouses.
Yes, I agree.
Right? And paying large commissions to do so. And they've got great reports, location reports and investment reports that are presented to you, and they look pretty and they've got all the numbers. But has anyone actually talked to the client about strategy and the right strategy for them, and then finding the right property, whether it's just because they're in Sydney doesn't mean they have to buy in Sydney. Right? If depending on their strategy. So it's, I guess you talk
about exit strategies too, do you? Do you consider that?
Yeah, absolutely. We'll talk about active investment, right? If you're going to buy and hold, you need to have a reason for buying and holding. Like, what's the reason? Well, we want to achieve this. Okay, fine. That fits with your strategy. But, you know,
I'm conscious of the time, Todd, so we might start to wrap up. I think the key message too is that the accounting practice doesn't have to necessarily spend more time and resources to take advantage of the package and the connections and everything that you've got to offer. There might be a little, I'm imagining there's a bit of understanding and training and things like that to understand what it is you actually be doing. And you've got two product and service options. You've got a free for you, so you're offering a free package. So that sounds great. What's in the free package?
Well, all of the marketing that we talked about, the implementation of the CRM, so the regular communication, the lead generation, the data integration, and the delivery of services, and then some monthly education for both your clients and also the firm that we hold monthly webinars for clients on finance, money and property, and we hold monthly webinars for accountants and professional services firms. So education from the industry.
So if I'm an accountant, I just want to offer better service. I don't necessarily want to make more money out of it, but if you're going to provide all these things for me at your cost, not my cost, then you'll do it for me, but I don't get a clip of the services. That's where
you don't get paid for, say, the loans and the property, right?
Because you're paying for the marketing, the client, or the integration.
But obviously, if you're going to introduce estate planning and SMSF, etc., into your business, that's your direct revenue.
Oh, okay.
So you can still increase
you can
your revenue.
still charge your like consulting fees and things like that as well. Absolutely. Okay. All right. And then paid by them. So you've got, if they want to pay for it and then have a commission split,
Yeah, so then we will pay them a split on everything that we do.
Yep.
The offset to that is that there's a subscription of $14.95 per month, right?
Yep.
And then I guess from a value point of view, we could say,
Yep.
well, the free one's worth $1,500 a month.
Yes.
Right? So that's our. If we're going to pay commissions, then what we're after is regular investment by the firm,
Yep.
right? And then we'll pay a commission split to offset that. And look, in terms of the potential income, firms, let's say you've got, I will say client groups, but let's just say you've got 300 client groups, or maybe there's 1,000 clients, depending on the size of your firm. But your potential revenue, which includes property as well, and finance, is around $58,000 a year. So I'm not going to say that $5,000 a month is going to come in, but $5,000 can come in pretty easily, depending on the type of loans that you do. They have to be big loans. They can just be high commission loans because there happens to be a requirement from the client, and that's
a couple of cars would get that close to it.
Well, you need a few cars, but it depends on where maybe your car, Deena. Maybe
okay.
You've got an expensive car, then yes, we could get a reasonable commission out of it. But working capital loans pay quite a lot of commission. Property pays a reasonable amount of commission, etc. But certainly there's potential.
Yeah. Okay. So you're not overselling here that you're going to make millions in your first year, but there's certainly a revenue stream.
No, but then there's a level of business, obviously, which says, well, okay, why would I invest $1,500 when you're offering free, right? Well, you can invest it and you get the extra commissions, right?
So if I'm going to be the devil's advocate here, so I'm sitting here and say, well, could I try it maybe a couple of months for free to see how much business you're making before I decide that, well, I'm better off paying the $1,500 and making the commission split?
So there's two options. So let's say you want to try it for free.
Yep.
Then what we do is we put in place a referral agreement. We'll review that after 6 months. So I'm prepared to take the risk of paying for everything for 6 months.
Yep.
To see whether or not it's worthwhile between the both of us.
Yep.
Right?
Okay.
So then that's a cost to us.
Yes.
Yeah. And I take that risk on knowing that what we do for people will increase revenue and we will make money out of it. That's our business, right?
Yeah.
If it's a paid one, then you do sign up for 12 months.
Yeah.
It's a 12-month commitment, but the first 3 months are free.
Oh, okay. Well, that sounds good. So then you're sort of playing around and working out. Yeah.
I expect that by month 4, you're getting paid a commission.
Okay.
I expect that by month 4, you're seeing a result.
Yes.
Right?
Okay.
And so I'm saying, look, work with us for 3 months, but you will sign up for 12 months.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah.
But the first 3 months are free.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds all right. Okay. So next steps then, book a consult with you. So we will have a survey going out to you. So please fill that in. And there's Todd's details there. So you can find him on email. There's his mobile.
Or you can just go to the website and
you've go to the website. You've got a contact form there too, haven't you?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And you've got a few forms there to show what you do for the clients in terms of their risk profiling and things like that, I think. So have a look on the websites. Feel free to call Todd directly. But pretty much it's book a consult, have a chat about the additional services discussion, because I might already have Ignition, for example. So we say, well, you've got that. Well, these are the other things that we can complement to, add to that. Talk about the automation and the software, the implementation strategy. What do you do first? I imagine there's a series of events that happen before you actually hit the go button. And you're going to evaluate and review and improve as you work, because this is an ongoing relationship, I guess you want, rather than just a one-off. So you want to help. I think the greater, the longer I talk with you, it's more about the education of the consumer. It's more important that the consumers are educated to make better financial decisions, and you can do that through the relationships you have with the accounting practices you work with.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, ladies, for joining us. Thank you for all your great input there and interaction. So thanks for time. Todd, thank you again. And
thanks, Deena. Appreciate it.
The guests, it's really important that you've joined us, and we really appreciate your time. and interest. So feel free to reach out. I'm sure Todd would love to have a chat with you, and let's see what happens from there. So thank you very much, and hopefully you might come to our webinar next month.
Thanks, Deena.
Okay,
see you, everybody.
Thank you, Todd. Bye,
Stay
everyone.
warm.
You stay warm. Yeah, you too. Thank you. Bye. And that's all, folks. Bye for now.